side of the lane, that good old brand of football. These rivals fall behind. Well, come on, Coldstream, good old Colts, best team you can find, yeah.
Hello again, and I'm Wayne Davison, and welcome to Cougar Vision Edition 4. Now, it's been a few weeks since we last saw you, so we've got a bit to get through tonight, so I'm just going to get stuck right into it. Now, in the last 3 weeks, all three teams have had at least one victory, with the under-18s perhaps the most impressive, with a thrilling last gasp performance against Whitehorse Pioneers. Pubes again, very impressive, doing his finest work, in fact, after the game. Now, I'm intrigued. This young Pubes not only has a kick-ass nickname, but picks up chicks within an hour of playing a game of football. Who is this bloke? Against Whitehorse Pioneers, after the game, his teammates are still in the showers, and Pubes is down Murak Street, hooking into some bird that he picked up from the crowd. Who is this bloke? Stephen Hancock, give this kid a medal. Okay, moving on. Now the seniors, after beating Whitehorse Pioneers, really have been comprehensively beaten on their last two outings. The reserves, also beating Whitehorse Pioneers, haven't had a lot of luck in recent weeks, so we're going to take a look at all the action from last week against Baronia, so let's kick it off with the under-18s.
Saturday's game against Baronia was always going to be a real task for the team after coming off a rough loss last week. We understood that our position on the ladder shouldn't determine the sort of playing group we are, but if we were to show how good we can be, this game was the one to do it in, as our opponents seemed to be on the same page as us. The first quarter was a good battle, with each team having as much of the ball as the other and using it well in tough conditions, but they kicked 2 more goals than us. After quarter time, our performance went downhill dramatically, with them scoring 6 goals 1 to our 2-2 and 5-5 to 2-8 in the third quarter. At times it really looked like we were walking when they were running through passages of play. And that's what we strived to get better at, but we really went backwards in this department on Saturday. Getting the ball forward wasn't the problem either, as it had been last week. It was taking our opportunities and punishing them on the board that was. One example of this was during the stage when we were 30 odd points down, one of our players took a mark in front of goal, decided to look too fancy, play on and kick a point. That's just to name one example, but constant situations like this throughout the game left Sedgie disappointed in the coach's box and supporters around the ground shaking their heads in disbelief. When you look at the scoring shots, if we had have scored 75% goals instead of 28%, it would have been much closer and it would have given us a better mentality to be more competitive on the field. To sum it up, it came down to scoreboard pressure in 2 quarters, and they were effective when we weren't. Some individual positives from the match were Ramo improving in his full forward role, Ondi's impressive spell on the ball, Holme getting back into his defensive position, Sedgie's classy skills all over the park, and later on, off the park. The on-ball was running all day again, and Andy getting more involved around the packs and moving a bit more frequently. Special mentions to Dino and Kurtless for filling in from the under-16s.
Bad luck, boys. Keep on trucking. The results will come. Now, the reserves burst out of the blocks and had a terrific first quarter, leading at quarter time, but couldn't sustain that intensity and unfortunately lost the game.
The whole team was asked to come to the game mentally switched on and ready to tackle Baronia, who sat second on the ladder having lost only 1 game. We came out inspired, tackling pressure was up, we were running the lines and playing the football we know we are capable of. Leading by 2 goals at quarter time was a reward, but we knew Baronia would respond, and they did. Unfortunately, we didn't lift when Baronia increased their intensity and work rate. A few key injuries to Screwy and Tucker hurt our structure, and we went back into our shells and were totally outclassed for the remaining 3 quarters. Whilst Saturday proved our good football can mix it with the best, our worst football will see us blown away by the opposition with ease unless we get mentally and physically better, something that can only happen at training. A massive game for Jeffro, just his 3rd game back from a knee reco. He rucked almost unchanged and dominated the air. Shawnee Bennett saw the rewards for his increased training with a great game across half-back. Hopefully this loss will light the fire in a few boys to get to training and start to make some sacrifices which will see this team improve greatly in the second half of the season.
The seniors also bursting out of the blocks, but were beaten easily in the end by Baronia.
It was a big game against Baronia. A win would see us 2 games clear of them and only out of the 4 on percentage. The EFL experts had penciled us in for a win and confidence was up.
Well, I haven't tipped against us today. I actually named you guys as my certainty for the week, so you guys better come home with the goods, mate.
A loss would mean making finals was that much more difficult. The boys came out firing and had the better of the opening battles. Brad Graham started well, but a knock to the head which left him with a cracked jaw saw his effect negated. About midway through the first quarter, Baronia took control and didn't relinquish it until it was all sewn up. The second and third quarters were complete write-offs, with the opposition kicking 11 goals to just 2. Even our number 1 fan, Mark Sacrestani, who brings his own alcohol and doesn't pay to get in, was thinking about leaving. Sean's 3/4 time speech was simple: play on and go down the guts. This worked well with a 6-3 final term, which put a tiny bit of undeserved respectability onto the scoreboard. Some soul searching has been done and a better effort can be expected in the weeks and months to come.
Now, with quite a few injuries running through our club, we thought we'd get an explanation on a few of those. And for that, we're going to turn to our new resident specialist, Dr. Adam Daniels. Adam?
Yes, Wayne, we do seem to have a plethora of injuries around the club at the moment. Probably the most horrific was the injury suffered by Ryan Kerr out at Upper Ferntree Gully. In an unfortunate incident, Ryan had his leg snapped clean in half.
Hang on, it's a corky, mate.
Sorry? He was on crutches.
It's just a corky.
But why was he on crutches?
Because he is soft and he wanted to get sympathy from his annual ball day.
Alright, we wish Ryan all the best with his recovery and in his love life. One person who did break his leg is Daniel Price. His ankle actually was snapped against the Whitehorse Pioneers. It is understood he will be back on stage and performing in 7 weeks.
Hallelujah.
It's been good to see Ben Garrington back for the last 2 games after missing the Whitehorse game with a case of the sniffles. It's the second time he has missed this year with a runny nose, so he'll be getting that checked out. Kieran Holm from the under-18s seems to have found a cure for glandular fever. He missed a game with that illness, but was seen down in the pocket drinking cans throughout the day. Rodney Williams has made a welcome return to the club and will be playing very shortly as soon as he overcomes his battle with obesity.
Number 4 for the night.
Back to you, Wayne.